uniform, and he said, "Oh, this building's so safe. We don't post that." So I felt very comfortable in here. Where another.
So it didn't really look like a structure, so it didn't get kicked down. But all my neighbors always got kicked down. So we really fought for that space, and
happen in America. I guess it does. I was concerned that I was going to die, and I didn't know what to do. People were hurt around me. I didn't know what I was going to do. I felt guilty.
People, especially in the beginning, like the first rainstorm, we were trying to make it through that, and we were just trying to cover the computer.
If you've watched my last documentary, you'll know who Alyssa Bloomberg is. She's married to Kenny Bloomberg. Alyssa's half-sister is Jennifer, who is pictured next to her. Jennifer's brother is Tony Greenberg. So Jennifer, Tony, and Alyssa, their father is Michael Greenberg. Michael Greenberg is the son of Maurice Greenberg, the ex-CEO of AIG. Now remember Jennifer, because she's going to come into play later on in this video, and you're going to be surprised at who she also plays, and it's going to make a lot of sense when it comes to the attacks that people have been making on my work, because you're going to find out who's behind those attacks.
Needs to go. That's the thing. And if you don't understand the game, then you become manipulatable. When you know the game, and they say, pushing you to call for world government and stuff to overcome the banks, then you go, but the world government's exactly what you've been working for hundreds of years for. So,
you heard what he just said. These people have been planning this for hundreds of years to try to get a World Bank or the one world government. They've been working hard at doing this, at collapsing the economies of major countries. And the person that he's standing with is one of the family members that he's discussing. He knows it's her. Of course he does. He's part of this thing. So, you know that now. Now listen to what she says. She's one of these people, the family that are doing this. Just listen to what she says about the World Bank. And remember, AIG, her grandfather, Maurice Greenberg.
You can see that you're being pushed in a direction that those you're protesting against want. But if you don't know the game, you can think, yeah, world government, good idea, stop the banks. And you then demand what the bloody banks want.
And you'd be really surprised when you drop the name World Bank, how many people didn't even know what I was talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, it's shocking, really.
So you have figured this out, correct? Remember, this is Sir Richard Branson. Sir. His loyalty is to the Queen. Let's skip ahead to the next person.
It was all in my wallet. Right now I'm a vagrant, and apparently I can go to jail because I have no identification.
What happened last night, mate?
It's fucking ridiculous.
What happened last night?
Last night I'm sleeping in my tent, and at about 1 o'clock in the morning.
Now, unless you're from Philadelphia like I am, you might not have picked up on this accent here. This is a South Philly, Marcus Hook, Chichester, somewhere around there. That's one of those accents. It's not Jersey, it's not all Philly, it's a little bit outside of Philly. But this is one of the MTV Jackass crew. And you're going to be surprised at who he is.
I heard screaming and yelling, and all kinds of shit, commotion, people screaming, cops running around in riot gear.
Did you catch that micro-expression? Micro-expression is a small fraction of a second that your face will respond to a question being asked to you, or as you're speaking you'll realize something and you will react to the thought inside of your head and make an expression so quick that you don't even realize you're making it. So let me play it for you again, just to see if you can pick up on it.
I heard screaming and yelling, and all kinds of shit, commotion, people screaming, cops running around in riot gear, chasing people. They were smoking cigars, laughing.
Well, the cops were.
The cops were.
Yeah.
And like they're telling us to get out, leave here, and they're gonna get a.
It was such a pain in the ass when we had a window because we locked the keys in the car.
Yeah, that's Bam Margera from Viva La Bam, his own TV show on MTV, and also from Jackass. Remember him because we're going to talk about him in a little bit. He plays an even bigger role in this.
The time, and then we just have to break the window. It works out. I mean, when it rains, it sucks, but
Here, my wallet, my medication for my PTSD.
See this guy here? He's the brother of the guy that was arrested on the Brooklyn Bridge during the beginning of this event. They have another brother that plays an important role in this event, and I'll talk about him in a moment.
They are people who think they have power, but they have no power whatsoever. They are merely animating a uniform which has the power, which is an extension of the state. And when they take the uniform off or get another job, they have no power. Someone else comes in, takes it on, and the uniform still is the power.
Notice the references to acting as the person puts on the costume or the uniform, and he acts like he has power, and then he takes it off and somebody else puts on a uniform and they act like it. Well, he's talking about acting here, and this is a set.
And they're in prison too. I mean, you know, they are themselves, they have children, they have grandchildren, and their kids are going to have to live in the world that they're helping to enforce. And when the penny eventually drops, and it is in some of them, that that's what they're doing. They're going to be bloody horrified. And then there's the other kind of police now, where they use things like biometric testing, which are like job application forms that glean someone's personality. And they're looking for the psychopaths and the narcissists.
See this guy in the background here? You're going to see him in another photograph. The Jefferson Memorial fake arrests with Adam Kokesh. Yeah. You want to doubt that I have a photographic memory for faces? I spot these things all the time. They're all over the place, especially when they're staged events. You can tell and you know that if it's a staged event, they're going to have all their family members and friends and the same individuals in the backgrounds making up the extras.
It's just, I feel like they're just trying to get everyone, scare people.
There are several things I want you to notice in this screenshot. First, the back of his hand. You can clearly see the prosthetic that's been applied to make his hand look swollen. And underneath, you'll see the markings of post-production work done to his pinky to make his finger look bent. This is how he pulls off the claims of arthritis when he plays, of course, David Icke. When he plays Branson, he doesn't have the prosthetic and his hand looks normal. The second thing I want you to notice is the person that he's talking to.
Times one voice comes up as like the more powerful voice.
Notice the hand gestures.
You know, especially when the billions of dollars.
This is Ryan Dunn's grip for the TV show Proving Grounds, which I exposed earlier. And the third thing I want you to notice is the police officer in the middle of the frame, the rather small police officer. That's Wee Man from Jackass, making another cameo.
Scare people, and they want to cut down the numbers. I don't know. I mean,
well, I think they're doing two things. They're trying to scare and intimidate people, and they're also trying to trigger people to get so freaking angry that
they want martial law.
They want to fight. They want the violence, so that they can then problem, reaction, solution, introduce their martial law. Exactly.
So do you think it's a coincidence that the camera just happens to be set up on the spot where Wee Man is standing right in the background, dead center in the middle of the frame, and he just so happens to be talking to a Jackass member, and Tony Greenberg is standing alongside of him? If that just in itself doesn't convince you that David Icke is part of this whole scam, then nothing will be.
People, get rid of them, make life really bad for them so that they I can't stand this anymore, and they go home. And also trigger other people to start violence, or of course, put their own bloody uniforms in civilian clothes to start the bloody violence and claim it's bloody protesters. We've got this real kind of contrast here. Over there is the part where all the protesters have been, and over here is staff, it seems, from Brown Brothers Harriman. I mean, if you look at it, look at the size of the frickin' building. Brown Brothers Harriman are one of the major Illuminati banks of the last, well, going back to the 1800s, and they're having their picture taken here. This is the kind of 1% that the people are talking about, and you know, while people are suffering and people are losing their homes and are going into the streets.
You are talking directly to the family members, to the 1%ers, and getting advice from them and broadcasting it like your little propaganda to the rest of the world so they can all get messed up as well as these people are. So, David Icke exposed. And just like all the other fake events that I've been investigating, we got the tie into Pima again. Pima County Graphic Service Department, Mr. David Weber.
It's a damp New York morning. It's November the 16th, and it's one day before the 2-month anniversary of the occupation here in the park. It's down the road from Wall Street, and it's one day after the police raid on the camp and the court decisions that say, yeah, people can come here and protest during the day. But they can't stay overnight, and they can't take anything in there that constitutes. Okay, it's an increasingly wet day in New York. Here we are in the park, and with me is Luke Rudkowski of We Are Change New York, who we met last year when I was here, and he's done a great job and doorsteps famous people and puts questions to them that other people won't do.
You know, Luke, I've often wondered how you were able to get so close to those officials that you give the tough questions to without their security pouncing all over you. So I thought about it for a while and pulled up some pictures of you and looked at your ears to see if I could see traits in somebody who I suspected was your father. Yep. This is why you can get so close to these individuals without getting pounced on. Notice Putin's ears. You notice the lobe of his ear? It's stretched because he's older. Look at Luke's ear. It's the same exact ear. He's got the same traits as his father does, except his lobe is not as stretched because he's younger. Look at Putin's picture when he was younger. Look at that earlobe. It's the same as his son's. And if you couldn't tell, this is a green screen they shot this with. Notice the green haze on the guy's hair on the right-hand side. Not that long ago, I posted a video where I exposed the person by the name of Sonia, Truther Girl. Sonia is a host of a radio show that's online and on YouTube. Her co-host is Karen Truther Girl. Well, just like all the rest of the actors, they took part in dual roles. Her and all her friends played roles in a media event that involved a person by the name of Charles Dyer, a Marine that was accused of raping a 7-year-old girl and happened to be a Oath Keeper. And the founding member of the Oath Keepers is Stuart Rhodes. So we all know that Stuart Rhodes by now, since I've exposed him, is, I'll let him tell you.
Hi, I'm Assistant Secretary Todd Kyle. For the second year in a row, President Obama...
E. Stuart Rhodes. Get it? He, the steward of Rhodes. He's in charge of the infrastructure for Department of Homeland Security. So you can imagine they weren't too thrilled when I found some shots of Deputy Lawrence Easton getting an award from Commissioner Kelly in New York. So apparently he's a NYPD. Well, that was fine. I got the typical death threats and all the other threats in email. But it wasn't until I posted this image that everything went down, including my website, all my accounts, YouTube account, and all my 240 videos, and 10,000 subscriptions, and 2 million hits. So once they showed that they had a weak spot, I decided to dig further into the Bristol Palin issue. Now remember when I told you to remember Bam from earlier in this video? Well, you remember when Bristol Palin had her baby? And you remember who she had the baby by?